I have been wanting to make a keto pumpkin cheesecake for years, and I finally nailed it. If you love pumpkin pie season but don't necessarily like the pie itself, this dessert is for you. It's velvety, creamy, perfectly spiced, and only 5 net carbs per slice. Let's start with the crust. I'm going to use my go-to keto graham cracker style crust. You're going to need 1 1/4 cups of almond flour, 3 tablespoons of coconut flour, and a touch of brown sugar substitute, just 1 tablespoon. The combination of the 2 flours gives the perfect texture: almond flour for structure and flavor, and coconut flour to help soak up some of that moisture and hold everything together. And I like to use brown swerve as my sweetener of choice for that caramely sweet touch. Then you'll need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder because I want it to rise just a bit, and 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum helps that crust stay firm when we slice through it. Pulse that together to combine those dry ingredients. Then add in 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter that is chilled and cubed, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla for that classic flavor. If you have graham cracker extract, you could use that in place of the vanilla. I know that sounds obscure, but it does exist, and it makes your crust taste like actual graham crackers. You're gonna pulse this all together until coarse crumbles form. And if you don't have a food processor, you can combine these ingredients using a medieval blender like a pastry cutter or a fork. Use these to help cut that cubed butter into your dry ingredients. But I would just invest in a food processor. It makes this so easy. Plus Christmas is coming, so it's a good thing to ask for one for the holiday season. The vessel for our cheesecake is gonna go into a springform pan. It looks like this on the side with a buckle latch that you'll undo when you want to easily remove that cheesecake. You need to grease the bottom and the sides of the pan with some butter, or you can use cooking oil, and then lay down a circle of parchment paper on the bottom. This will also make removing a slice of your cheesecake a lot easier. The size of my pan is around 9 inches, and this will make a pretty tall cheesecake, so I suggest you use a 9-inch springform pan, nothing smaller, just to be on the safe side, because you don't want it to spill over as it bakes. Unless you like to live dangerously, then you could try that, but I don't suggest it. 9 inches is perfect. So you press the crust evenly into your springform pan and then bring that crust up around the base of the sides. It doesn't have to be even or perfect. I actually kind of like it when it's not. It gives a sort of rustic charm to your cheesecake. Then once that's pressed in, this will go into the oven to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 9 minutes. You want to cook it just until the edges start to get this golden brown color. Then remove it to cool, and let's start working on that filling. Actually, it's time for a tea break first. Before we dive into this creamy pumpkin cheesecake, I want to take a minute to thank today's sponsor for this video, Lion's Tea Exchange. They are a woman-owned artisanal tea small business company based right here in the United States. And honestly, their teas taste like a little bit of a self-care moment in the middle of the day. That's why I've been enjoying them. Every blend is custom made here in the United States with high quality ingredients. And this time of year, I have been cozying up to their apple cider rubios and their peppermint white chocolate teas. Both are caffeine free and perfect for sipping while this cheesecake bakes. And their teas aren't just delicious, they're actually functional too. Like their lemon ginseng, which supports mood and focus thanks to that ginseng root. Or if you're looking for a thoughtful holiday gift this season, check out their wooden keepsake gift boxes. This is a beautiful birchwood box that holds 4 boxes of tea and has removable dividers. They are honestly beautiful and the perfect gift for the tea lover in your life. You can head to lionsteaexchange.com to explore their limited edition flavors and use my code KetoFocus to get 10% off your order, or just click the link down below in the description box or scan right here. All right, now back to this cheesecake because tea and desserts are basically soulmates. Oh, I did want to mention that my cookbook, Protein Packed, is available right now to purchase. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, heck, even your local bookstore might have it. You can also go to proteinpackedbook.com to order. But I have been getting so many positive reviews from you guys that you are loving the book. Every recipe has a gorgeous picture next to it so you can see exactly what you're going to be making and what it should look like. Look at these amazing fish tacos. It's keto, high protein, and They're really, really good. All right, now back to our cheesecake filling. The key to smooth cheesecake is starting with softened cream cheese and room temperature ingredients. If your cheesecake is too cold, it's not gonna fully blend and you're gonna end up with just chunks of cream cheese instead of that dreamy velvet texture that we're trying to go for. You're gonna need 24 ounces of cream cheese in this recipe, which is around 3 blocks of cream cheese. Next, add in 1 cup of your favorite granulated sugar-free sweetener. I like to use Lakanto Classic because I'm an old dog and it's hard for me to learn new tricks, and it's just been my sweetener I've used for years. Then 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then all those cozy spices that make up pumpkin pie, like 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of powdered ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. You could just use 1.5 tablespoons of pumpkin pie spice if you didn't want to have to dirty every single measuring spoon that you have, but my measuring spoons kind of get lonely if I don't use them all. So that's why I opted for the first option. After we mix that all together until it's smooth, we add in our eggs. You're gonna need 1 egg yolk. Mix that until it's just combined. And be sure to scrape the bowl as you're mixing just to make sure everything is combining. And then mix in 2 large eggs at a time until you've put in 4 eggs total. And here's my biggest tip. Don't overmix. Overmixing adds in too much air to the batter, which will cause your cheesecake to rise too quickly, and then it deflates as it cools and it can crack. I learned this the hard way. I mean, actually keep on relearning this because you're gonna see in a little bit, I actually cracked my cheesecake during baking, and I think it was because I overmixed the eggs. I wasn't paying attention. So just mix everything until it's smooth. No marathon mixing sessions. Don't watch Hallmark Christmas movies as you try to bake this. You're gonna make my mistake. Once the filling is ready, pour it over the cooled crust and see how full that gets. It freaks me out every time. Smooth out the top, and then we're gonna bake this using my no water bath method because this cheesecake doesn't need no bougie water bath to keep from cracking. You just need to do this baking temperature hack that I like to do. I should have mentioned this before, but after you pull your crust out, you wanna crank the temperature of your oven all the way up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I know, I'm sorry if you're perimenopausing and having hot flashes like crazy, the kitchen's gonna get a little hot. But our cheesecake is gonna bake at that 450 degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes first, and then we're gonna lower the temperature down to 200 degrees, where it will continue to bake until it reaches an internal temperature of 150 degrees Fahrenheit. This gradual bake gives our cheesecake a creamy texture without worry of cracking and the stress of having to use a water bath. Mine took around an hour to get to 150 degrees, but it could take up to 90 minutes. Another tip I have is just to keep a cookie sheet underneath your springform pan, just in case you did overfill it. You don't want to have to worry about it spilling over, or if you have a crappy springform pan and it doesn't seal properly and it leaks, you don't want to have to worry about cleaning your oven afterwards. After our cheesecake's done baking, let it cool at room temperature for a few hours before covering it with plastic wrap and putting it in the refrigerator. Cheesecake loves a slow cool down. This also helps prevent it from cracking and keeps that rich velvety texture. You can see this attempt of me making this cheesecake did not crack because I did not overmix this one and I cooked it properly. I recommend refrigerating it for 3 hours, but I usually let it go overnight because I like to make my cheesecakes ahead of time. You can even freeze this cheesecake for later. Now it's time to remove it from the pan. As you can see, this cheesecake was my first attempt because it cracks since I overmixed those eggs. It looks like the Grand Canyon of cracks. But you know what? It's really easy to hide with a lot of whipped cream. No one will ever know. And there you have it, my keto pumpkin cheesecake. It's smooth, tangy, perfectly spiced, and I promise it will convert even the pumpkin pie skeptics at your Thanksgiving table. But if plain cheesecake is more your jam, then click here because I got you covered. This is a keto New York style plain cheesecake that is absolutely to die for. And don't forget to check out Lion's Tea Exchange to do a little bit of Christmas shopping and stock up on some of their delicious winter blends this season. Go to lionsteaexchange.com and use my code KetoFocus to get 10% off your order at checkout.